My God, I hate drugs.
President Duterte wants someone else to head the transition government, which will be set up once the federal constitution is ratified. He's already asked the consultative committee drafting the new charter to make sure this happens. He also informed his cabinet about his plan that could effectively end his term before 2022. Our senior correspondent Ina Andolong tells us the president has actually been talking about wanting to step down early for a while now.
A shock to the cabinet. That's how presidential spokesman Harry Roque described the mood in Malacanang when President Duterte told his alter egos that he's ready to cut his term short.
Dahil siya'y pagod na. He said he was very tired, he is old, and siguro itong electing a transition leader would enable a younger leader to take over. He said it kasi with conviction. That's why ako medyo nalungkot ako. No?
The president made the announcement at the beginning of Monday's cabinet meeting. Speaking to his secretaries, most of whom his trusted friends, he said he has no plans of heading the transition government that will kickstart the shift toward federalism. The transition government would be set up once the new constitution is ratified, something which the president sees happening as soon as 2019. So if it does happen, President Duterte and his men may only have a year or so left in Malacanang.
Well, medyo nasak siguro yung gabinete kasi parang this is the first time na nagsalita talagang presidente na ayaw na niya, no? Beyond 2019. No? So ako mismo nalungkot ako, no? Dahil parang definite statement na yon na magbibigay na siya sa isang mas batang leader. So if the Constitution is ratified, that's it for all of us in the cabinet.
President Duterte's remarks may have surprised many, but it's actually not the first time he said it. He said something similar just last week.
Kay Puno ngayon, committee, to make the final changes. Make me president only next year, 2019, and I will accept it.
Last February, his words were clearer. He wants to get out soon.
I am also in a hurry to go down. If there can be a working federal setup by the year 2020, I am going to step down. I do not want any transition position.
But no matter how many times he says it, it's easier said than done. There are questions on the constitutionality of what he wants to happen. Cut his term short, then have someone else take over and practically finish off the rest of his term.
It will be constitutional because it will be pursuant to the transitory provisions of the Constitution which the people may ratify. Kaya nga pinabago niya yung transitory provision para i-recognize na yung transition leader will have to be elected. In other words, yung bagong saligang batas, kung iraratify ng taong bayan, will be the instrument that will cut short the term of the president.
Before the draft federal constitution goes through a plebiscite where people will vote on whether or not they want the new charter, it will still have to hurdle lawmakers. Malacanang says the president will push his allies in Congress to back him up. This early, though, senators are saying changing the constitution is not their priority. This means our tired president may just have to wait a little longer. Ina Andolong, CNN Philippines.
Incredible news out of Thailand. After they were trapped for over 2 weeks in a cave in the northern city of Chiang Rai, 12 boys and their 25-year-old soccer coach are finally out. The last of them pulled out of the flooded cave in the past hour, weak, cold, hungry, but alive. CNN's Ivan Watson has been following the story in the past few days, and he has this report.
This is just such a wonderful story to get to report, and it's bittersweet because, Allison, there was a diver, a professional diver who sacrificed his life, who lost his life in the narrow chambers, the narrow tunnels leading to where the boys were trapped all this time. The divers that we have gotten a chance to talk to, professionals have said this is the hardest thing they've ever had to do because the distance that people have to travel to reach that chamber, that cave where the boys were trapped, 2.5 miles in, 4 kilometers in, the mountain behind me, and the sun is setting here right now, and tunnels that were just frankly flooded with the monsoon rains that this region had seen in past days that thankfully suspended for a couple of days. We saw the heavy downpour again today and didn't know what effect that would have on the rescue operation. But remarkably, the chief of the operation this morning was very optimistic and predicted that the last remaining five, the four boys, their coach, would be pulled out, as well as the three Thai SEALs and the doctor who've been taking care of them, predicted that they would all come out today. As far as the effort, you know, I think it's safe to say that much of this kingdom, much of this country, Thailand, has been watching closely the drama that's been unfolding in the caves and the mountains behind me. There has been a remarkable effort on the part of volunteers here where I am, who have been bringing food, water, assistance to the rescuers, to the journalists who, you know, we don't deserve as much help, who've been monitoring this drama as it has unfolded here.
Reunions will have to wait for now, as all members of the Wild Boar soccer team have to spend some time recovering from their ordeal. CNN's Matt Rivers reports from outside the Chiang Rai Hospital, where the boys will stay for the next few days.
It was just a minute ago that it was ambulance number 11, actually, that just went behind us. That means that boys 9, 10, and 11 have now arrived here at the hospital. We're expecting the 12th boy and the coach to be following up shortly after that. Basically, the protocol has been the same. They come out of the cave where Ivan is. They're treated at a field hospital. They are airlifted to very close by where we are, and they are brought to this hospital. As soon as they get here, they are brought upstairs to the 8th floor. There is a special unit that has been set up for several days now where these boys go. It's an isolation unit. It's sterilized. There's a concern amongst doctors that the immune systems of these boys and their coach have been weakened to the point where they're more susceptible to infection. And so they're going to be quarantined for 7 days, actually, 7 whole days, each boy, to make sure that their recovery goes as smoothly as possible. And they could be in the hospital for longer after that. And it's worth noting that while they are in isolation, their parents cannot physically touch them.
No word yet on whether all divers and volunteers who took part in the operation have safely made it out of the cave. We'll have more details for you on this breaking news out of Thailand later. Meantime, here are the other global headlines. Southwest Japan faces a long recovery after floods and landslides killed at least 122 people. Rains have stopped in the region, allowing authorities to focus on rescue efforts. At least 27 people are still missing after days of record rains. Police, firemen, and the military are scouring affected areas for those unaccounted for. Thousands of houses were damaged, nearly 17,000 homes still without power, and phone lines down across multiple prefectures. Many railroads and highways are closed because of flooding, isolating a number of areas. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe has canceled a trip to Belgium, France, Saudi Arabia, and Egypt to concentrate on disaster relief. On a lighter note, Prince Louis of Britain has been christened at a private ceremony in London. Prince Louis was born on April 23rd. He is the third child of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge and fifth in line to the throne. Kensington Palace says Louis wore a handmade replica of the royal christening robe, which was made in 1841 for the christening of Queen Victoria's eldest daughter. Two members of his family were notably absent, Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. The UK's Press Association said their decision not to attend was made some time ago, and it's not because of health reasons. Meantime, U.S. actor George Clooney is out of the hospital after being involved in a motor accident in Italy today. The 57-year-old was thrown over the top of his scooter after being hit by a Mercedes. A local official says the driver of the car failed to stop at a turn. A police commander said the actor did not suffer any serious injuries or break any bones. Clooney will be monitored by hospital staff as an outpatient for 20 days. President Duterte calls Vice President Robredo incompetent after she said she's ready to lead the opposition. And a fatality in a shootout outside the compound of the Archbishop's Palace in Cebu City. Details coming up here in Newsroom. Stay with CNN Philippines. Martes ng gabi po sa mga nanonood sa atin dito sa 9 p.m. edition of CNN Newsroom. We'd like to greet some of you who are watching. Evelyn Valencia watching from Hong Kong, Manuel Aligado from Australia, Fala Benito from UK, Elisa Liquido from Cebu, and Ruiz Garcia from Rizal. Stay tuned for more stories. Meron pa po tayong storya tungkol kay Vice President Lenny Robredo saying she is ready to lead the opposition and what the President said about this one.